Hey everyone, it's Fentony. His Dark Materials is back for Season 2. They've updated the intro with aspects from the second book, The Subtle Knife. Chittagazzi looks awesome, looks incredible, and a lot of people are saying that's how they interpreted it when they read the book. Remember, Season 2 is going to be adapting The Subtle Knife, the second book in the His Dark Materials series. And I'm very hyped for this show, and this was a great episode. It started with a quick recap of the first season, Lyra's adventure, meeting Mrs. Coulter, who's actually her mother, finding out her uncle is actually her dad, befriending an armoured bear, saving kids from Bolvanga, her dad killing her best friend to open a window into another world. It was a tough season for Lyra, she went through a lot. And obviously in Season 1 we met Will Parry, who doesn't actually come into the story until the second book. But like I've said loads of times, they put him in the first season for obvious reasons, to get you used to Will, to introduce him early. And like I said, a lot happened last season, but Season 2 and The Subtle Knife really raises the stakes. I will be talking about spoilers from the latest episode, so just be careful for that if you haven't seen it, but I will avoid talking about future events in the story. I'm not going to spoil future events in this book and the next book for people that haven't read them. We'll stick to this episode and everything that's came before. So yeah, let's get straight to it. So basically this episode is a lot of setup, and it's the aftermath of Lord Asriel's experiment to open the window into a new world. Both Will and Lyra have entered the new world of Chittagazzi, the world in the sky, and so far we've had 3 worlds, Lyra, Will's and Chittagazzi. But this world is neither of theirs. This is a brand new world for both of them. And Lyra feels guilty for what happened to Roger. She blames herself for his death, because she consulted with the alethiometer. It all led up to his death. It seems like Lyra's been in Chittagazzi for 2 days, and Will's been there for 3. So Will's been there for 3 days, and something that I noticed straight away was the fact his phone still has battery. Unless of course he's been turning it off, but 3 days? My phone barely lasts half a day. Like I said earlier, Will was in the first season, and it's fine, that made sense for the show. If they followed The Subtle Knife, the show would open up with Will leaving his mother with Mrs. Cooper, who was changed in the show to a guy. I think it was his boxing teacher, wasn't it? And later Will's house is invaded by men looking for information on his dad and his letters. And then Will accidentally kills one of them before following a cat into the new world. The show done all of that in the first season, and I think it was for the best. It allowed us to meet Will early, allow his introduction to have more time, because if he'd done it like in the book, it would be rushed. You would lose Lyra for a bit, and Will's intro would not be right. And it allows them to focus more on the Will and Lyra relationship, which is crucial to this story. As individuals, Will and Lyra's actors are great, but they need that chemistry together. It needs to work, or this entire story falls apart. Obviously we need to see more of it. We've only had 1 episode, less than an hour, but so far I like it. Daphne Keane is great as Lyra, and from what I've seen of Amir Wilson, I enjoy him a lot. Both Will and Lyra are amazing characters, and Lyra is one of my favourite book characters of all time. Now like I said, this needs to work. Both of them need to work together. And I've got a good feeling, but there's a lot more to come. So yeah, what else is going on? The Magisterium's trying to cover it all up as always, trying to gain control, trying to keep control I should say. That fat cardinal guy shouts heresy when Father MacPhail mentions that they should, take advantage of this other world. Father MacPhail and Mrs. Coulter have accepted it, and they wish to control it. And as always, Mrs. Coulter is manipulating pretty much everyone. Now the fat cardinal's probably going to die. It seems like she wants Father MacPhail to take control, and she's going to kind of use him as her puppet. She's very good at manipulating people, especially men. But she's also on her own little side quest to find Lyra. She's a very complicated character, but there's no denying she loves her daughter, even if she doesn't always go about it the right way. And she does a lot of bad stuff, like you saw in this episode. But Ruth Wilson shows us again why she was my favourite cast member from the first season. That interrogation scene was pretty intense, and at times hard to watch. And they didn't overdo it with the torture. You had Mrs. Coulter pull out the cloud pines from the witch's back and all that, just with tweezers. You didn't have to go into too much details. You didn't have to make it too gory. But the acting was sublime, especially when Mrs. Coulter gets angry. And this is where I come to my first big change that definitely stood out to me. There was obviously lots of changes in there, new scenes added, stuff moved about, but there's one big change really stood out. I believe in the book it's Serafina Pekkala that mercifully kills the other witch before she can give any information to Mrs. Coulter, or before Mrs. Coulter can harm her even more. But on the show it's Queen Ruta Skadi that does it, who like Serafina is a queen of a different witch clan. She's a brand new character this season, and I guess they wanted Ruta Skadi to do it to give her more impact in her intro. She had a lot of screen time this episode, and she was the one that wanted to rally the witches to fight. The show seemed to want to show us that she's the one to get the job done. It is a change, but it's not a massive deal. And another change that I noticed was the actress that plays Paolo, or Paola on the show. In the book, it's a boy. It's Paolo and his sister Angelica. But on the show, you've got two girls. I believe it's because the actress that plays Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones, who's playing Angelica on the show, auditioned for that role, and so did the other actress that's playing Paolo, or Paola, we'll call her Paola. They both auditioned for Angelica, but the show didn't want to lose them. It could only give the role to one of them, and the other one would lose out. But they didn't want that as they found both of them were just so good. So they kept both of them. And they changed Paolo into Paola. They changed him from a boy to a girl, but it's no big deal. And it's worked from what we've seen. He's a very minor character, so it's not a massive deal to be honest. And it seems to be working. So yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. It's mostly set up, and mostly the aftermath of Lord Asriel's plan. And then you've got Will and Lyra meeting up, developing their relationship, the Magisterium's reaction, what Mrs. Coulter's up to and all her manipulation, the witches rallying, Lee Scoresby's plan to find Stanislav Screwman and some sort of magical protection that could help Lyra. No James McAvoy this episode as Lord Asriel. He was mentioned every couple minutes by loads of different characters, but he's missing from this episode, and it could be missing from the entire season. He doesn't appear in the Subtle Knife, he actually doesn't appear again until the Amber Spyglass, but if you've been keeping up with all my videos, you know that they actually tried to film an episode for Lord Asriel, an episode focused on him, but they had to cut it because they couldn't finish it in time, for obvious reasons. So there's only going to be 7 episodes this season instead of 8. But obviously Lord Asriel is a major player in this story. We will definitely see him again. We'll definitely see James McAvoy. And obviously Yorick Byrnison as well. He wasn't in this episode, and just like Lord Asriel, I'm sure he's missing from the Subtle Knife, and doesn't reappear again until the Amber Spyglass. But we have seen him in some trailers, and I think Yorick will appear. And you can kind of say he was missed, as he's such an iconic character. When you think about the Golden Compass, Northern Lights, his Dark Materials, Yorick Byrnison is one of the first things you think about. But have no fear, he definitely returns. And even though I love Yorick, he's one of my favourite characters, he wasn't really missed, as there was just so much else going on. So yeah, a lot is set up, but it's definitely going places. Will and Lyra have agreed to go to Will's Oxford to find out more information. But he is drawn to the tower in the middle of the night, and it seems like there's a spectre behind him. And remember from earlier in the episode, Angelica mentioned that Will's close to becoming a man. He's close to being affected by the spectres, because they don't attack children, and children can't see them. But yeah, this is just the beginning, and I think this is going to be an incredible season, and it's going to surpass season 1. But obviously I want you guys to let me know your thoughts on this. What did you think of episode 1? I'll be making videos on every single episode this season. So episode 2 will drop next Sunday in the UK, and every Sunday after that it'll continue. But HBO Max don't get the first episode until a week tomorrow, Monday the 16th. So we'll have the first 2 episodes before they get the first one. That sucks, but I'm sure that's not going to stop some people. But yeah, glad his Dark Materials is back. Glad we've got something to talk about, as this year's been pretty bad. A lot of movies and TV shows have had to be pushed back. If you want to get all my reactions, make sure you subscribe and turn the bell on to get all the notifications. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't watched these videos, check them out, and I'll see you in the next one.